Hey, what's up, everybody? And guess what? Happy Friday. I think it's Valentine's Day. So happy Valentine's Day for everyone that's joining us tonight. I want to welcome you to a special edition of Celebrity Court of Public Opinion, where you know it, where fame meets the law and the truth is put on trial. I'm your judge and your host, Al Reynolds, and today we're diving into a case that has the world watching by bated breath. Yep, you know which case this is. It's the People versus Sean Diddy Combs. Now, joining me on this special edition will be two of the sharpest legal minds in the game. First, we have attorney Symone Redwine. She's a legal analyst, a law professor, the woman whose commentary, I got to be honest, has gone viral more than some of the celebrity scandals themselves. She describes herself as giving us Cardi B meets Judge Judy with a dash of Whitley Gilbert. And trust me, she pulls no punches, and she's no new member to Celebrity Court. Please welcome attorney Symone Redwine.
For having me.
Absolutely. And guess what? Sitting behind her, we have attorney Quentin Williams, a man whose resume reads like a legal thriller. From former FBI agent to federal prosecutor to NFL and NBA executive, and also the founder of Dedication to Community. Q doesn't just know the law, he enforced it, he taught it, and he's lived it. Everyone, please welcome Counselor Williams to Celebrity Court.
Thank you.
We were here a whole hour helping this man with his audio and everything.
Thankful for Symone.
Symone, he better be good tonight, right?
Yeah, it better be worth it.
All right, everybody. But beyond the courtroom drama, this case definitely carries far-reaching cultural significance, and that's why we've decided to do a special edition. Hip-hop is a genre born from struggle and resistance, something we're all very familiar with, and it's built on voices of the marginalized. Now we find itself grappling with the dark side of both power and privilege from one of the architects, Diddy himself. Diddy is more than just an artist, as we know. He's a mogul. He's a cultural architect who helped define an entire era. This case sends shockwaves throughout our community that has long battled injustice with simultaneously celebrating wealth and success. It raises very uncomfortable questions for our community when our heroes fall. What does it say about the culture that built them? What does it say about our culture in general? Does success insulate you from accountability, or does it make you a bigger target? We're going to examine that tonight. And guess what? This isn't just about Diddy. It's about the intersection of power, race, wealth, and in this case, justice. And it forces us all to confront an essential question. In America, is anyone truly above the law? All right, let's get into it. All right, counselors, I want to start with the charges and the challenges. So, Symone, I'm going to throw to you. Break it down for us. What exactly is Diddy facing? And I would like for you to lay out the charges in plain English so we can all follow this legal maze that we now call People versus P. Diddy.
Right. Listen, Al, Diddy's rap sheet is starting to look longer than some of his music catalogs, okay? We are talking about multiple charges across different jurisdictions, ranging from criminal conspiracy to potential RICO implications, okay? This isn't just one state coming for him. It is a legal-ish show, okay? It is a dog pile. And
wow.
It is multiple states are coming together, which is part of what makes it trafficking. So the gist of the allegations are trafficking and RICO conspiracies that it actually pulled in all of the employees of Bad Boy, from the person who was wiping up the little cum stains off the sofa all the way to Diddy himself. They are all implicated in this indictment.
Q, let me ask you this, Counselor Williams. Why is it significant that these charges are coming from multiple states? Is it because they feel like that'll make a stronger case? Like, what's the legal strategy, I guess, is what I'm trying to find out behind bringing New York, LA, and Miami into this?
Well, as a prosecutor, you want to do something that's going to leverage the federal statutes. And RICO is something that was used by to get organized crime figures like John Gotti, because really the federal government cannot come after you for murder.
That's true.
Things.
I didn't know that.
There are no statutes for murder in the federal government, but RICO, Racketeer Influenced Corrupt Organizations Act, it allows the federal government to come after organizations and those associated with those organizations who are committing these crimes along with other crimes across state lines. So that's why the different states are really important, because it brings the federal government into it. And then kidnapping, what he was doing with children, all of those statutes put together add up to a RICO opportunity. And with RICO, the implications are severe when it comes to
Much
sentence.
more severe.
And
Severe,
also,
like
clarify, just the basics, Judge, is that if it was just the states that were prosecuting him for these things, they couldn't. The statute of limitations would have expired. But the statute of limitations for RICO offenses has not expired. So that's why they have to work together for these allegations.
Okay, so let's talk about this working together, because now it just seems like there's just a free fall. So what would the prosecutor, what is the state focusing on? Are all these other cases that are coming out against him and charges or lawsuits against him, do those mean anything, or are they focusing specifically on what they went and raided the house for, what they know to be sex trafficking? Like, because in my mind, it feels like this is legal overkill, right? Because all these cases are coming. So is it legal overkill, or is this just a system doing its job? And what do you think they're actually doing? Because it took them forever to arrest him. And now that they have him in, they've denied him bail and all that. So what are they doing? What are the prosecutors doing right now, Attorney Williams?
There's no such thing as legal overkill for prosecutors. Prosecutors gather as much evidence as possible. In the federal system, as I remember when I was a federal prosecutor, we're going for 100%. Everything we bring, we want to get a conviction. And usually 95% of the time they plead out. So we don't take any chances in the federal government. Gathering evidence as much as possible, you want to get it to the point where he's on his knees begging you for a plea deal. And right now, I don't know that he's at that point. He thinks he can beat this, but the evidence is going to be so overwhelming that he asks for a plea deal. That's what they want.
And also, now, just to clarify with the dog pile, it's very important to keep separate the civil cases from the criminal cases. There are only 3 victims that are listed in the superseding indictment, basically the current indictment, the most recent indictment that is prevailing. There's only 3 victims that are there. They are all adults. So all of these other civil cases that are out there, the ones that allege things with children, all of that, none of that is in play at this time. Now, they can always add more people later, but by them only including 3 victims, which it's alleged to be Cassie, and then the other 2 are unclear. These victims are able to really focus on those and proving up the cases as it relates to those 3 victims.
Got it. Now, Attorney Williams, you used to be an FBI agent. Tell me, why did Homeland Security evade his home or raid his home and not the FBI?
And the FBI was involved, but Homeland Security was the lead because of the sex trafficking issues. And they believed they had enough probable cause to get into his home, not only his LA home, but in his Miami home as well, because there were pieces of evidence. They heard about the videos that he took, and that was enough to get them in there. And then once they're in there, they can confiscate anything that they reasonably believe to be a part of the crime.
Got it. Okay, Attorney Symone, let me ask you this. A lot of people were saying that they were doing too much, the way they evaded his homes, raided his homes, went to his New York apartment, went to his Miami house. Do you think that they are targeting him because of his celebrity status, or do you think this is necessary as they try to build the case in pursuit of justice?
It's necessary for justice. The way in which they executed, the searches at both properties on the same day at the same time, that's critical when you have someone as powerful as he is. Listen, similar techniques were used with the former CEO of Abercrombie. They execute in the same way because much of the issue becomes when you have someone who has unlimited resources, their power extends across multiple states, multiple communities. And then here, we've now got that video. We've got the video of him kicking Cassie and abusing her, and people want justice. So I believe that video being released was a huge turning point with respect to the public wanting to see justice and not simply civil cases being resolved or settled.
All right, let's take a look, Bailiff. Bailiff has a video for us to look at. Let's see what we got.
That we're getting this information from. We were actually the first ones here with about 30 different law enforcement vehicles at least. There are 3 Bearcats on scene here. This just all unfolded, Sandra, I would say less than 10 minutes ago. We got here even before the crime scene tape came up. So we're just down the hill. If you look up this street where Tony is right now to the right, you'll see one of those Bearcats and law enforcement. And on the other side of those bushes,
no, that's not the door. That was just a girlfriend that was saying
Bad Boy Films, which is part of Bad Boy Entertainment. And the home in particular is registered not only to Bad Boy Films, but to one of P. Diddy's daughters.
They are heavily armed, and they've been very tactful, would probably be the best word to use, as they made entry into this home this afternoon. We actually watched them as they made their way through one of these side gates, and as soon as they got inside the home, one of the first things they did was made their way into this garage that you see is open right there. Now, they did take a couple people into custody. We witnessed that. Now, are they under arrest? Are they just being asked about what they know? That I can't answer, but I can tell you there's 3 people right there that were taken into custody, were inside that home at the time of the raid.
We did see a bunch of investigators going in, making the raid in there and clearing that as well. So they're going to do a thorough search as they conduct this raid. And so far, Stu, from what I understand and from Haley on the ground there, they have not seen, and we have not seen from our vantage point, any sign of Sean Combs, the 54-year-old who is believed to be the property owner of this.
He knew to be gone.
Right. All right, Bailey, we want to see the video that Symone was referencing that really we feel like kicked this all off, right? This
the Cassie video.
Can we see the Cassie video, please?
Of abuse against music mogul Sean Diddy Combs. The video, captured on multiple cameras, shows Combs assaulting his then-girlfriend Cassie Ventura in a hallway at a Los Angeles hotel in March 2016. A lawsuit filed by Ventura in November last year and settled the next day referenced actions that seem to match those seen in this video. There is no audio. According to the...
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh.
And see, when that was released, people were calling to the DA's office. They were calling the LA County DA's office and said, you guys better press charges. So much so that the DA's office made a statement and said, we can't. The statute of limitations has expired. I wouldn't be surprised if they picked up the phone and called them feds in New York and said, what can we do?
Well, that's they most definitely did. The execution of these warrants, whether they're search or arrest warrants, is one of the most dangerous things that federal agents and local cops will do, because there are unexpected things happening on the other side of those walls. So that's why they go in with an overwhelming presence.
Got it.
Saw 50 to 100 agents, guns a-blazing, for a reason. They didn't.
So in your professional opinion, Counselor Williams, that was nothing unusual. That was not because of his race. That was not because of, he's P. Diddy. You're saying to me, because they have to be prepared, they come in heavy-handed like this with most of the home invasions they do at this level.
Absolutely. I've been a part of those, and there's a reason for it, because the history has shown that FBI agents, federal agents, cops have been killed on these kinds of quote unquote raids when there's an execution of a warrant. And that's the worst thing that could possibly happen. because we can control it. So the key is to control the execution of the search, the execution of the arrest, fully control it. And so if it takes 200 or 300, they'll bring in whatever they have to bring in, even if there's only one person on the other side. They want to give the people on the other side of that every chance to think twice about doing something stupid. Well,
and plus, think about it. You saw how big the property is. Exactly. And you don't know what could be behind door number 1 or door number 20, right?
And there's
especially with these young kids. I'm not saying, just in general. I'm just saying you don't know. One of the kids could have freaked out, locked himself in a room with a gun. You never know. And the size of the property. Okay, I get it now. I'm glad you explained that because it makes perfect sense now. Because a lot of people were saying that, they didn't go into Epstein's house like this. They didn't go into XYZ's house like this when they didn't raid even Mar-a-Lago like this when it was raided. But it's good to know that that's the reason. All right, counselors, I want to move a little bit now. And I want to talk about the bail because I find this very, very interesting. And this is also another sticky topic where people are saying they don't understand why he didn't get bail. So I want to talk about the bail and whether the lack of it, because he wasn't denied just once, he wasn't denied twice, he was denied 4 times. So Symone, what does this bail denial really mean? Does it tell us anything about the case as well as the judge's mindset? Is this a starter? And if so, what is it saying?
Listen, when the judge treats you like you are more of a flight risk than a baby daddy during tax season, okay, then that's a red flag. Okay, baby daddy, okay, he want to get that money and he want rims, gold, a fake Rolex, whatever it is. He gonna get that tax money on that kid he hadn't been taken care of, okay, and flee. But bail isn't just about whether or not you show up for court, right? It's also about the perceived threat that you pose and whether that is a threat to the community, to the witnesses, or even the integrity of the legal process. Here, it is based on the integrity of the legal process appears to be largely what they're leaning on. They are really referring to, the fact that he was able to make that Cassie tape go away. That's tampering with witnesses. That just before he knew that investigators were going to be speaking with certain witnesses, there was one witness that he called 154 times. Again, tampering witnesses. And prior to that, he hadn't spoken to that person in years. And you're going to call her 154 times in a week. That's harassment, right? So those are the things that make them say, no, sir, you need to sit your bottom down.
Now, Q, let me ask you this. Compared to other high-profile cases, because I want to make sure that he's being treated the same so people can't use this in a court of law, right? We've seen celebrities like R. Kelly and Bill Cosby. Some of them got bail, some didn't. What's the difference here?
Well, different judges, too. So you have different judges. But with Puffy, there are a few issues. Witness tampering is probably the top one. At least publicly, but he's also been viewed as a dangerous person because of that video. The video really blew everything up, and then he has the resources to flee. He does. So when you take all of that into consideration, I think it all played into the mindset of the judge, with witness tampering being number one. It was so explicit that he was doing that or allegedly doing that the judge didn't want to take any chances.
So Symone, is this really about not taking chances, or is this about setting an example? It feels almost like it's setting an example. What are your thoughts on that?
No, I don't think it's setting an example. I think it truly is here about taking chances. See, what people forget when they make those analogies to these other cases, those people were not tampering with witnesses. That's a huge distinction. Yes, they all had jets, but there was no evidence of tampering with witnesses in the way that the court, that the prosecutors were able to present to the judge in this one.
So, Attorney Williams, can people argue though? And I'm trying to be as, non-judgmental as possible, but the way that the media has covered this, especially in the beginning, you would have thought that it was like the OJ trial all over again. So is it fair to say from a media perspective that Black celebrities or Puffy or Diddy or Love in this particular situation has been treated differently from their white celebrity counterparts?
Listen, we have a storied history, and that history has not been kind to Black people. In this case, I would say it's equivalent to Weinstein. When you look at the Weinstein case, and I'd say at that level, Puffy's at that level, Weinstein at that level. Weinstein, he paid a dear price for what he was doing. But Puffy, again, and Symone brought it up, Puffy was allegedly tampering with witnesses.
Got it. Okay.
But Weinstein did not get bail either.
Weinstein was tampering. He was paying them. He was paying the
didn't
girls
get bail
not
for
to
his federal
testify.
charges either.
Huh?
Did Weinstein get out on bail? I don't remember if he was out on.
No, he didn't get out on bail.
That's why
it's very similar. I think that because both of them posed that kind of threat.
I just don't remember Weinstein getting such public media attention
because nobody knew who he was beforehand. Like people in the
okay.
You just knew he was an ugly fat man. I was like, he looked like he got to pay for some booty. So it was weird. This man, we grew up being told to adore. The media adored him. He was in our households. We have music that he's produced. Whereas did nobody know what Harvey was up to? He just looked like a big old fat man from Hollywood.
Well, what about Epstein?
Scenes and Puffy was both behind the scenes, but very much in front of the camera. So that's the difference, I believe.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you this. This is my next question. How do you balance the rights of the accused with protecting the potential victims? Because I feel like they're doing a very good job of not letting the leak out of who the people are. Like Symone said, only person that we know is Cassie, and she has to be known, right? Because she's the one that kind of blew the house up. She burned the house down and then blew it up after there was nothing there, right?
Right.
So why are they being so extra careful? Because I personally would have thought that he would have been able to pay for a leak by now.
Of the identity. If he did that, he would be in so much. That would be an additional charge. That's tampering with witnesses for sure, because by leaking, you are now instilling fear in this person that could impact their desire to testify out of fear.
Right. Like you see that all the time with like these gangster cases, at least on television. Yes. Someone, not saying that it would be Diddy, but someone in his camp or even a lawyer or a private investigator would be hired to go, this is who it is, so that they would be in fear of their life. And then they would say, I don't want to testify anymore.
Correct.
Ultimately, the judge is going to have to sentence you if you're convicted. And the worst thing you can do is to upset the judge. They're human beings, and they'll hold it against you when sentencing comes. They have a range that they can propose, and that range could be a pretty large range. You want to be at the bottom end of that range. So he by doing any of this stuff, he would probably upset the judge even more. And that's not where he wants to be.
I already feel like, unfortunately, because if he did these dirty things, of course he should be underneath the jail. But I already feel like, everybody is coming at him as being guilty, right? And that's what I want to rotate the conversation to that. But before we go to that, how significant, Symone, is it that we're on judge number 3? Meaning the first judge and the first attorney general were 2 Black men who were released of their positions. Like one said he recused himself, right, because his wife had some type of experience or touch point with Diddy. What happened to that second judge, and why are we on a third judge on this case?
I honestly, I don't remember what happened to the second judge. Do you, Quentin?
I don't remember what happened to the second judge either.
I think it was, but hold on. I think it was the difference between magistrate and district court judge. Because initially he went before a magistrate judge trying to get bail. And that one said, no, you can always appeal the ruling of a magistrate to a district court judge. And then that's what it was. And then that was the district court judge that recused himself because of some type of relationship. And that's how we're now on.
That's how we're now on the third judge.
There we go. That's how we got
it. Won't be the one to try the case. It'll be a
right.
Judge.
It'll be the district judge. Okay, got it. All right. So let's go to the strategy of the defense and the strategy of the prosecution. I want to start with you, Symone. All right, Symone. If you were on Diddy's legal team, what would be your strategy to get this man home to his family that has been missing him for months now?
Oh, baby, I'd be flipping the script, okay? I'd paint him as a victim of media-fueled witch hunt, okay? I'd question the credibility of all the witnesses. I'd exploit every legal technicality. Baby, I'd be donating to Trump, okay? I'd be giving any little thing. What you want? You want me to buy a coin? You got a Trump Bitcoin? Okay, my lawyers, shoes. I'll buy the sneakers. I'm going to wear the sneakers to court. Okay, I'm going to do all of those things because that's how the game's played. It's not about the truth. It's about the narrative.
So let me ask you this. If he was convicted, could Trump pardon him?
Yes.
Absolutely. And he could pardon him before he even gets convicted. See, that's why me as his lawyer, I would chum it up. I say, Trump, what do you need here? You know, we're in a lawless country now. We ain't got no laws. We ain't got no rules. Maybe it's, oh, well, I don't know. He could be like, I want to be in his next music video. Who the heck knows? What I do know is that he just had the charges dismissed against Eric Adams in New York City.
Right.
And he said the reason was so that Eric could focus on immigration and getting rid of illegal immigrants in New York, and that this case was distracting and taking his time away from that. So with Diddy, I would argue to Trump, say, oh, I'm like you. It's the fake news. It's the media. It's a witch hunt. And Trump, more than anybody in that federal system, seemed to hate Damian Williams, who was the person that indicted him. So I'd say, oh, Trump, this is a witch hunt from Damian. And how infuriated would Damian be that this charge, this case that he, is dropped, that he spent so much on? That would be a huge F-U slap in the face to Mr. Damian Williams.
But didn't he resign?
He did resign, but it doesn't, even when you resign,
this still would be the case that really made his career. All right, let's flip the script then. Q, you're the prosecutor. You want Diddy behind bars. What's your move? What's your stance? How are you going to try this case?
Well, I have witnesses, so I'm going to slow down and tell the story. We have to tell the story because the story, as we want to project it, will be that video that you saw of Cassie, but much longer. So it's not just that.
Got it. So you're basically setting the stage that that's just a tip of the iceberg, that this man has over 2 decades of this type of behavior that has gone unchecked, and we're going to prove to you that this mogul turned masochist needs to go to jail.
He was doing this for decades, and these 3 examples are just 3 of the many. And when Cassie's on if it gets to trial, when Cassie's on the stand, I will be going maybe not frame by frame through that video, but I'm going really slowly. It's going to be phased. Every 5 seconds, we're stopping to talk about where were you going? What were you doing? How were you trying to escape? What did he do prior? Until they object, you're going to keep
playing that over and over so the jury can see and see and see and see. So they're going to go to sleep.
Absolutely.
In their head, they're going to play that over and over and over and over. Okay, Symone.
Nightmares about that video.
About that. Okay, I like that. Okay, Symone, let me ask you this. What do you see as the biggest weakness in Diddy's defense case?
So his defense is basically, oh, Your Honor, we're just freaks. This was all consensual. So I think the difficulty he's going to face is there's too much evidence that you use coercion and force to get these people to do the freaky stuff.
And drugs.
Is
drugs like illegal when you want to do a little freaky?
It's illegal, period. But the issue is going to be using the drugs to coerce people. Okay. And therefore, you're double dipping. That's going to be a component of that RICO. That's also how they're going to be able to get Another issue that they're going to have, a huge issue for Diddy, is that because this is RICO and the superseding indictment, meaning the amended indictment that's now in play, it specifically says that they are going after those who clean the rooms, booked the flights, coordinated the girls. So those people are going to flip. They're going to tell the feds everything they need to know. And he can't pay all those people off. It's not enough money. It's not enough people. I mean, because
I know someone personally who was called in front of the grand jury. And you're right. He doesn't have enough money. And the list is long as hell. All right, let's go to you. Let's go to you on the prosecution team. So if you were the prosecutor right now, Counselor Williams, do you feel like that you have enough evidence based off of what you've seen and what you've read and what you've heard to prove a pattern of abuse beyond reasonable doubt? Because it has to be beyond reasonable doubt, correct?
Correct. It has to be beyond reasonable doubt. Well, we don't know everything that the prosecutors have.
Right.
And they're working their way up. Symone made a very cogent point. They're working their way up from the smallest person who was a part of this thing, the person who was cleaning the rooms afterwards and setting them up beforehand, was making the phone calls to get the women to come and men to come to the locations. They are getting those people to cooperate because remember, prosecutors, the best prosecutors, tell stories. That's what they do. They go before a jury and they lay it out as a story, like a novel, so that when those jurors leave that room, they are talking about the story they just heard. So in order to do that, you have to piece together that story with everybody who was involved, including the drivers and the cleaners and the callers and the people who are participating, and you work your way up. And as you're working your way up, you're starting to cut deals with those people. And because they don't want to go to federal prison. Federal prison's serious. It's not like state prison. You don't get time off for good behavior. You do 85% of your time at a minimum. So they don't want to go to federal prison. It's miserable to do something like that. And you go for a long time.
Especially for just cleaning and setting the baby oil out.
Yeah, but you're part
I'm
of.
not going to prison for just setting the baby oil out.
Your name might be RICO. Your name might be RICO doing that.
Literally.
So let me ask both of you guys this then. Where does the public perception or the public opinion influence? Is it more influential to how the prosecutor prosecutes, or is it more influential to how the defense attorney is going to argue the case?
What do you think, Quentin? I think in this case, it's going to be very helpful to the prosecution because of the fact that they're going to be able to use his celebrity as a means of coercion. They're going to point to it and say, the celebrity alone, even if he didn't have all the money, that celebrity has allowed him to coerce people, also to keep people quiet and to force people to do things they didn't want to do.
I think that's a brilliant thing. I would have never thought. I would have thought that the defense would have used it to say, look, this can't be fair because if he's being drugged X, Y, and Z every day, someone's making up a story. The perception, it's like, how do we choose jurors who have not heard or seen or had some type of touch point to something? That's how I would have thought. But I think it's very interesting that you brought that up.
I think they will argue that, but that's a procedural argument. So they're going to argue that to the judge in advance of trial. But once they're there at trial, I see them using as an argument to the jury the fact that he is a celebrity as a component of his force.
Yeah, I think the public outcry will help the prosecution because the video is really what people are remembering about this thing.
Right. Like you can't get it out your head. Like you really cannot get that out your head.
And we have to understand jurors are human beings. So they're going to be emotional about it and you're going to play out their emotion. And jurors are parents. And so they're imagining their
daughter.
Yes. And so that's what you're doing. When you tell the story, it's like any good film, any good novel. You want the reader, the viewer to get wrapped up emotionally in it. And so for this case, getting them emotionally wrapped up when they see a woman being kicked and beaten,
Stomped.
her bags being taken, she's left defenseless, she's extremely vulnerable. When you see that, the emotions rise.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a natural tendency.
So tell me, how did he get away with this type of behavior for 20 years?
Oh, I know exactly how he did it. When folks who are survivors believe that no matter what they say will not do anything because this person is so powerful, and it's the reason why Weinstein got away with it for so long. He was doing this for decades, Weinstein, and just like Puffy, because the survivors believe that no matter what they said, no one's going to believe them. And if they believed them, nobody would care because everybody's trying to make money off
the fame.
And yeah, they're attached to the fame and the money in some way. So they're willing to neglect the survivor.
Okay, all right, I'll give you that, counselor. But what I can't give you is hotel businesses seeing the tape. She's calling on the phone. She's saying, "Help me." They pull the tape back, and no one calls the police.
Yeah,
what's really going on here? That's where power, that's where money, that's where wealth comes in, right? That's where you pay
$100,000. They said that he paid $100,000 to make that tape go away. And you know who's going to be one of the witnesses for the feds for that to support that RICO charge? The hotel worker, whoever it was who hid that video, who was aware of the payment. Any of those hotel workers are absolutely going to be called to trial.
Well, allegedly, there is a hotel.
They could be defendants. They could be part.
That's part of that's part of the RICO. You're right.
They're part of the
Get them. I would love.
Allegedly, there are a number of hotel executives that have come forward now talking about some of the hotels that he left, how he left the room. To the tune of like just all type of disgusting towels and stuff on the wall, and they had to wear hazmats to clean the clothes, to clean the room afterwards. I just don't understand with all of that. No one no one rang the alarm before this. It's just they should be held responsible too. I don't know. That's just my personal opinion. I just don't get it at all.
That's more civil because it costs a lot of money. They might not have seen criminal behavior, but those who participated in hiding that video, that's obvious criminal behavior on that video.
Right.
They're going to be called to the carpet and might be defendants, might be pleading out on some deals.
So let me ask you this, Q. As a former FBI agent, and you worked in the New York bureau, correct, or the Connecticut bureau?
Yeah.
Okay. Are you working hand in hand with the prosecutor? In what your department investigated? Are you guys on the phone with them every day? How does that work? And how do you help the prosecutor build this case?
Absolutely. It's a partnership. The agents are the investigators for the prosecutors. At some point, the prosecutors take over the case and they tell the agents what they need. And the agents carry that out. In the beginning, the agents are doing what they have to get some probable cause, maybe to get up on some wires. And once they get to that point, the prosecutors are involved. But at this level right now, the prosecutors are running the case. And if there's anything that needs to be done from an investigative standpoint, the prosecutors are directing it.
Symone, how many people are working on this case for Diddy?
Millions. No. Oh, for Diddy. Sorry. No, it's quite a bit. This case is easily going to cost him $2 million to defend or more. So there are multiple law firms. I think there's 3 different law firms, 3 to 4 firms involved. And then you've got partners, associates, paralegals. I mean, he's probably got about 30 people that are assigned to this case.
Jeez Louise.
That's $2 million per year, by the way. That's
good point.
That's $2 million. They're each billing $500 to $700 an hour. It's a serious.
I wish my lawyer was that cheap.
You know what? I don't even know that they're doing it per hour. A lot of times on the criminal side, it is a flat fee, baby. It will be flat fee. Now, many don't realize you can't do contingency in criminal. And be like, hey, it'll be this much if you're found not guilty, and then more if you're innocent, or if you're found guilty. No, so oftentimes it'll be a flat fee, but I could absolutely see it being hourly.
Okay, let's talk about the verdict. And for me, when I think about the verdict, I think of clearly there's a public perception versus celebrity privilege, because he has his celebrity, like if he was really good friends with Trump, he could, actually pick up the phone. So in this case, right, we've broken down the charges. We've examined the legal strategies, and we tried to dissect what some of the tactics would be. But in reality, this case is playing out in two courts, the court of law and the court of public opinion, right? And in today's world, we see how sometimes the court of public opinion often moves faster and hits harder. Symone, I want to start with you. When you look at this case, what does it tell us about the way celebrity privilege works or doesn't work in America today?
Oh, honey, I think this is a masterclass in how you can buy the best defense, but not always buy freedom. Okay. Fame can be a double-edged sword. And here I think we're seeing that, because sometimes it'll protect you and sometimes it paints a target on your back. I think here Diddy has done so many people wrong over the years publicly, very publicly, and not had to be held accountable, whether it was, the young lady that got shot in the face years ago and said Diddy did it and Diddy was found not guilty. All of these people coming together. It's like those people plus the media want justice.
So, Attorney Williams, that's a good point. Attorney Williams, let me ask you then, because everyone's saying, and I said it myself, I'm honest, I'm guilty. I have said he must have pissed somebody off in order for this to happen to him, right? So is that even a factor, or are we just all thinking that there's a higher being that's always higher than another higher being? Because for me, I swear, it seems like literally 6 months ago, probably not 6 now, but a year ago, Diddy was on top of the world. He would be considered, a mogul, a cultural architect. He would be considered the best to ever do it. He would be considered one of the few that shifted the culture, defined hip hop, put respect on hip hop, put respect on the urban community. Did he piss somebody off? Is this a reaction to being him pissing somebody off or doing somebody wrong? Or is this finally justice being served? And the reason why I asked you is because you've been in these courtrooms. You've prosecuted powerful people. So what do you think it is?
I think what happened over the last couple of decades with Diddy, really 3 decades or so, is that he was protected for much of that time. And his fame protected him, but the fear that he instilled in people protected him. And then when the video came out, the video is the ace card. When that came out, then all those people that he did wrong
had to distance himself. I mean, all the people that were protecting him could no longer protect him, because now they look like really bad.
Well, and also even further than going farther than that, they were people who he was not treating well were not coming to his aid to say, "Oh no, he's a great guy," because they didn't feel that about him. So this was their chance to distance themselves from him and also not step in that void and say, "No, he was really a great guy." And I think that's what you're going to see over the next. You're not going to see all these people coming to his aid because he didn't treat him well.
Yeah, we're gonna see Lorianne Gibson is who is a guest. Aubrey O'Day. I anticipate seeing people like that, and I don't have any inside intel, but this is just my common sense from people who he really did dirty over the years, but were in that inner circle. Because for some reason, it didn't ding dawn on him. You can't treat people like poo poo. And then think they're going to stay quiet once you get yourself in some mess. Everybody about to be singing like a canary in the same way that Don has, et cetera, et cetera.
All right, I'm going to do some rapid fire questions as we bring this to closure. Symone, does this case signal a new era where celebrity protection is fading, or is it still business as usual for the rich and powerful?
Oh, no, they're going to have to get it together. I think because social media has allowed people to become justice warriors from their fingertips, that now these celebrities will be held accountable.
Got it, Q. Is the system treating Diddy the same way it would treat an average person or a white male facing these allegations?
No, because nobody would care. They care about him. Nobody cares if John Smith did this, so it makes the news one day and then it's gone and the person goes to prison. But with Diddy, it's a daily thing, or at least weekly, that we hear about it on the news.
All right, counselors, both of you, are we witnessing accountability, or is this just another example of America tearing down a successful black man?
It's accountability.
Accountability, Q.
He tore himself down.
No doubt it's accountability.
All right, everybody, Diddy's story is far from over, but this isn't just about him. This is about power, who has it, who abuses it, and who gets punished for it. This is about the price of success, especially for black men in America. And this is about us, the fans, the public, who's built these icons up only to watch them fall. We celebrate their rise, but we secretly crave their downfall. This case forces us to ask hard questions. Can you separate the art from the artist? Can you listen to it? Can you listen to I'll Be Missing You and not think about these allegations? Can you celebrate Diddy's contribution to hip hop while also demanding justice for his alleged victims? These are very tough questions, but very good. And what about the system? Are we seeing a long overdue reckoning, or are we watching another powerful black man be paraded through the media as a symbol of guilt before he's even had his day in court? Join the conversation, everybody. Drop your comments in the chat. Ask your questions, because in this courtroom, your voice matters. Until next time, I'm your Judge Al Reynolds, and tonight, court is what? Adjourned. Thank you, counselors.
Thank you.